Anyone who has ever been involved in running a small business will know that cash flow can be one of the single biggest challenges to staying afloat. And that's especially true in these times of recession, when people can be rather more reluctant, let's face it, to pay their bills. Now, just one big unpaid bill can bring a small business to its knees. So when a debt management company offers to step in and chase the bill on your behalf, well, sounds like a bit of a lifesaver. Of course, they'll charge you an upfront fee for the privilege, but in return, you may not get quite what you expect. Running a small business involves hard work, determination and risk. When times are good, the sky is the limit. But when things go wrong, there's a long way to fall. Robert Hields runs a flying school from Sherborne Airfield in Yorkshire.
I teach people to fly helicopters from day one until they obtain their license. I enjoy teaching people. I like giving people information and I like making them good at what they do. That's my passion.
But for Robert, the thrill of flying is dampened by the realities of keeping his business on track.
Running a business is appallingly difficult. I don't like the business side and I don't particularly like the paperwork side, but what I do enjoy is physically teaching people to handle these aircraft.
But since the economic climate turned cold, things for Robert have got a lot harder.
A small business like this needs cash flow, and in this day and age, particularly with the bank crisis, it's been very difficult to get your money in at the right times.
Clients who don't pay their bills can cause big problems for any company. But one former client has left Robert with an unpaid bill that has put a huge hole in the company's finances.
Well, it was a sum of around £10,000, and that is a lot. That's a big hit for a small business. That's possibly 6 months of your entire earnings at this level.
Despite chasing the outstanding debt through letters and emails, Robert had no joy getting his money, and he didn't have the funds to try going through the small claims court. So when in early 2011, he received a phone call from a credit management company called Jonathan Andrews Limited, it sounded like the solution he was looking for.
The first time I was approached by this company, it was a cold call, and I was literally fighting on all fronts, and I just didn't have the time to talk to them. But they persisted.
The calls from the company kept coming, so Robert asked for more information and checked out their website. He was impressed with what he found.
Oh, the website was very convincing. It looked very professional. In hindsight, I think it was designed particularly to make you feel that you were dealing with a company that was long established and very, very good at what they do.
They sent Robert their company profile, claiming they believed themselves to be the most cost-effective credit management company in the UK. But perhaps most reassuring of all was the pledge that at a time when the reputation of the debt collection business had been marred by rogue traders, it has become Jonathan Andrews' goal to reinvent the image of the industry. Now, with promises like these, you can see why Robert was persuaded to trust them to recover the bad debt.
They got my confidence. I think that's the correct word to use. They got my confidence. They told me that they could collect that debt.
Robert provided the details of the debtor who owed him the £10,000, and the company agreed to take it on.
It was some relief to know that there was a group of so-called specialists out there that could tackle this problem easily and efficiently for a one-off fee.
That fee to be paid up front was £600, but Robert was delighted to think that Jonathan Andrews Limited were going to chase the £10,000 he'd practically given up hope of ever seeing again.
I'd almost written it off in my own mind. It would have been like a small lottery win to get that money back at that particular period of my life, employing people and struggling on, yeah.
They asked Robert for all his paperwork relating to the debt.
They asked me for proof of the debt, which I had. So I parcelled it up, copied it all, and within 1 hour, a courier appeared, asked for the money first, and took the documents away. They told me that once they had that information, they could pursue this individual. Yes, they assured me that it was rock solid and easy to collect.
All parties were happy and a contract was signed. Jonathan Andrews Limited then called Robert to say they had everything they needed to chase the debt. So Robert waited for the company to get him his money.
There seemed to be a long time without any form of communication, and once again I was busy basically keeping my head above water and surviving.
But the company who'd been so persistent in their sales pitch had gone very quiet. And the explanation? That Robert's account had been put on stop because they hadn't received enough paperwork to recover the debt, which to Robert made no sense at all because remember, after they'd received the paperwork, Jonathan Andrews Limited had called him to say they did have everything they needed.
I supplied Jonathan Andrews with the documentation to prove the debt, which is what they asked for. I paid them an upfront fee in good faith, and they assured me that they could recover that debt. The most infuriating thing about it for me is that I've thrown good money once again after bad, and I feel as though I've been misled, and I don't mislead people.
It took numerous emails between Robert and Jonathan Andrews Limited before the debt management company agreed to close the case and return all the paperwork to Robert. But so far, he hasn't received it, and he hasn't been refunded his £600 fee either. Roberts isn't the only small business to have felt the squeeze over the last few years. The Federation of Small Businesses estimate that £36 billion is owed to British businesses in late payments, and that doesn't include the even higher figure for debts so late that they've had to be written off entirely.
The impact when a business has to write off a debt can be quite severe. Worst case scenario is that they do cause businesses to go under, and too many businesses fail these days because of bad debts, unfortunately.
And Micah's advice for small businesses tempted to use debt recovery or credit management companies like the one Robert did.
There are many people out there who will offer to try and recover a late payment or a bad debt. Make sure that you do the necessary checks, and you should never pay money up front to these people because often, they will take a percentage from the amount that they actually recover.
Unfortunately for Robert, the company he chose did take its fee up front, meaning he's now had to write off not just the £10,000 originally owed to him, but also the £600 he paid Jonathan Andrews Limited to get it back.
To gain someone's confidence and not do the job is certainly misrepresentation, and in my opinion is a confidence trick. It makes me feel like a little bit stupid for falling for it.